So it's Monday, October 4th. This will be trail day number 159. It didn't rain a lot last night, but it rained pretty good this morning. I woke up around 7 o'clock and it was pouring. It's 9:30 now. I just got all my water. I got like 2.5 liters. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to get that started filtering. It's got a lot of debris and stuff from the leaves, but while this filtering, I'm going to get my stuff packed up and get started out of here. The plan's to do like 12 miles to get to the furthest shelter just outside the bear restricted area. Did not see or hear any bears last night, so it's a good thing. But we're going to get everything packed up and hopefully we can get out of here before it starts raining. I'm not too far from camp. The sun's trying to peek through. I'm wearing my rain pants just because all the vegetation and everything's soaked. I'm alright at the moment, but I may end up taking those off. It depends on if it starts raining. I don't wear the rain jacket this time of year, or when it's warmer, because it's just too hot. But if it starts raining, I'll put out the umbrella, and then with the pack cover, the water will go down the umbrella, down the back of the pack cover, soak my shorts if I don't wear the rain pants. I went ahead and put on the waterproof socks as well, because I know my shoes was going to get soaked. So we're going to do 13 miles, skip a shelter. It's 11:45, so we should have time to do that either just before or shortly after dark. Depending on the weather at the time, if it's not raining, I'll put the tent up so it can dry. I dried it off with my towel the best I could, but it's still damp. And if it's pouring rain and bad weather, I'll just stay in the shelter. Even though the Gut Hook's comments for that shelter says the mice are horrible. Oh, I found my gloves, by the way. They were in the bottom of my tent bag. My sleeping pad did not hold air. It held air in the hostel, but not last night. So the patch I put on it's not really for an air mattress. So when I get back to Irwin, the camper, I'll spray it down with soapy water, get the proper patches, fix any holes, and give it one more go. If it goes flat again, it's going in the garbage. They're going uphill, but it's not steep, so I'll take it for right now. So just as I suspected, I didn't make it very far. The rain pants had to go. They're just too hot. And the trail is pretty well maintained, so it's not I mean, it's due for another round. And just as I say that, here comes, but for the most part, there's not too much foliage hanging out the way. But you're not avoiding getting wet. That's just part of it. You got to deal with it. And that's a steep hill. Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 days of rain. So dry stuff out when you can. Keep things dry as you can. I got a little bit of, had the vestibule a little high on one side, had the breeze blowing, and got some water up on the bug net and stuff, but it didn't ever get in the tent. So everything in the tent was dry or just slightly damp to the touch. If we do this again, it gets a little more damp, and then, you know, after days on days, it gets soaked. But just try to keep it as dry as you can, as long as you can. That's the best you can hope for. I'm feeling pretty good today. The legs are a little sore, but not nothing like they were. I got the sand from between my toes, so hopefully it shouldn't be irritating them anymore today. I guess I got the sand in them. I was wearing Crocs at the hostel, so there's no telling. Wasn't a lot, it's just like a couple little grains in between my toes, but that's all it takes. The old saying goes, it's not the desert that kills you, it's the grain of sand in your shoe. Oh, okay. We've got a tree down, but it's not very big, so should be easily passable. Somebody tried to cut it out of the way. Put all that much effort into it. Should have went the rest of the way. My pack's starting to feel good, about like my old one. First day out, it was kind of sore on the shoulders. It didn't hug to me like my other Osprey, but it's getting broke in. So my camera battery died on me. I didn't go very far. It was this camp spot right here. A nice little grill grate somebody hauled out here. 2 fire pits. That one's full of trash. Trash all on the ground. Nice camp spot. But that's why I have aggressive bears, and they have to close areas down because people come out and they just leave their garbage and whatever. I would have probably stayed here if I'd have known how close it was to the other one. but oh well. I'll get the camera mounted back and get started. I almost walked by it. Just happened to glance up and see, oh, there's a view. I had just looked through the trees. I mean, there wouldn't have been nothing to show up on camera, but it was all cloudy. But there's a little break in the clouds right there. You can see the trees starting to change colors. Man, it's going to get beautiful out here in the next few weeks. So I got somebody's hunting dog here. Got a radio collar on him. How you doing, buddy? Hey, how you doing? Friendly doggy. Don't mind friendly doggies. You just don't know if I'm friendly. Really? We're in the middle of the trail. Anyway, I'm 2 miles from the Abington Shelter. I'm gonna stop there for a break. Looks a little on the bony side. Do a lot of running in the mountains, don't you? I'm gonna stop and take a break at the next shelter, and then we'll have like 8 miles left for the day. Making decent time. So it's been quite surprising for a Monday. I ran into a lady just doing a day hike. Then I ran into a southbounder doing a northbound slack pack. And then I ran into the hunting dog. And then I ran into a southbounder doing a northbound slack pack. And she said the dog, there was 2, and they had been following the guy I met before her for about 11 miles. So, poor doggy. But once I went past that camp spot, the dog come back out the trail and went north. So I guess he's going to catch up with the guy he'd been hiking with for 11 miles. And then the first lady doing a day hike had 2 friends with her. I just ran into them a little bit ago. So I expected for a rainy Monday to see nobody. Hey, you just never know. Another little camp spot. I see a bush beer can over there, some other trash. Man, I tell you what. I should pack it up and take it with me. But whoever brought it out here should have took it with them. So I'm probably about a mile from the Abington Gap Shelter. I'll probably stop there for a quick break. And then we'll have like 8 miles left to go for the day. It may be dark by the time we get there, but that'll be alright. Yeah, I was collected enough rainwater to fill up both my water bottles fully, so I don't have to climb down into the gorge at that shelter to get water. That's awesome. So this is the Abington Gap Shelter, I believe. I just have to figure out which way the AT goes. There's a trail that way. Oh, there's a white blaze, so that's it. I started to say there's a trail that way that goes uphill. That's probably it. It is. And there's a trail going that way. That must be to the water source. It says down a steep hill that I don't have to visit. But I'm gonna take a break here to shelter. Wonder if it used to have a well there or something. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break here, and then we'll move right along. So I was just about to leave the shelter, and I run into a father and son, and they were older, not like a father and a young son. The guy looked like he was in his 40s. So they've just been section hiking, trying to do the whole trail, and they've made it this far. They stayed at boots off and slack packed, and then today they were full gear, stopping when they get to Damascus. But they were inquiring about camping. They were going to try to push on to that campsite that's out of the bear closure. It had a water source. It's just like 1.5 miles or 2 miles out of town. I asked them, there's a water source about 2 miles north of the Abington Shelter. Comment on September 30th said it was just a puddle. But it rained pretty good last night and this morning, so hopefully it'll be flowing. I drank a quart of what I started with. I'll try to drink most of the second quart before I get there. It leaves me with about 1/2 quart just in case. So we got 7-something miles left for the day. And it's 2,200 foot of ascent. Already done about 1,300 foot of our climbing. So that's not too bad. I think my first day on the trip back on the trail, it was like 2,300 foot and that 5 miles. So 2,208 miles should be pretty good. 2 outside toes on my right foot. Kind of raw feeling on the bottom. I don't really feel like a blister. But if I try to go too fast and don't pay attention, I think it would become one. So I just kind of keep it this moderate pace. See if I can't keep it from getting too excited. I don't want to have to deal with blisters. And we got some flat downhill for a little bit. Nice. You can't see it. I can't see it now. It was way off down there. Pretty hefty bear. I just happened to stop. Don't know why. I'm going downhill. Just a random stop and look around. I do from time to time. And I seen something move, I thought, and then I seen him. Oh, I can still see him. If there's two little trees, a little gap of light. I know it ain't showing up on camera. Anyway, it's there. Bear number 3 on the AT. Yeah, I don't see him now. Well, that's kind of cool. I don't mind seeing bears when I'm hiking. I've got all my gear strapped to me. Just don't want to see them at camp. I'm seeing a lot of trees in this area that's burned. Oh, and there's been burned. All that's been charred and burned. I'm assuming it's remnants of the fire from 2016. Got some more fire damage there. So the ones that come through burn Gatlinburg. See this rock just randomly on the trail here. It's got dirt on it and moss. So since the rain, I don't know where it come from, up there somewhere maybe, but a bear put it there. And it looks like the log's been moved. So, yeah. Coming up on something here. There's an unofficial little shelter too. I hadn't quite got to it yet, I don't think. In between the two. The shelter I just left and the one I'm going to. Well, that explains the bear problem. Anytime a shelter is close to car access and all the trash. Drive yourself this far and you can't tote your garbage out. So this is the shelter, Mcqueen's Gap, I think. I can't remember, and I just saw it in gut hooks. It says it was built in the 30s, so it's one of the original ones. At this point in the game, it's no longer maintained, so it's just been left here to crumble back into the forest. But if you ever want to know what original shelters look like, dirt floors, the platform would have been added later. That's kind of cool. So I noticed hanging on a nail here, this really old can opener. That thing has probably been hanging on the nail, unused, at this shelter since like sometime in the late 70s. That's kind of cool though. It's still used, I'm sure. There's still people that stay in it from time to time, but alright, we'll go on to the one we can stay in for the night. So not too far from the shelter, there's this little concrete, and there's another one over there. Yeah, another one there, and I'm sure there's another one, yep, right there. So it used to be a fire tower here. That explains the road access, which means it says there's no water source. But for there to be a fire tower here and a shelter there from the 30s, there's a power pole. There, at one time, the water source somewhere close by. Well, there it is, on down the trail, like a mile. I don't think the fire tower person would have been going that far to get water every day. But I could be wrong. Had a little uphill from that old shelter to the fire tower foundation. Now we get to go down. I feel pretty good, but I don't feel like doing 6-something more miles. If it wasn't for the closure, I'd get water. Just a water source coming up. And because it's 4:30, and then just pick a spot somewhere south of that. But I will push on to the shelter to get out of the closure area. I don't think that shelter's closed. It says in gut hooks, just north of that shelter all the way to the Backbone Rocks Trail, I believe. But if I get there and it says the shelter's closed, then oh well. It'd be good to go a little further since I actually saw the 2 bears. know they're in the area. But that don't mean they can't show up at the other shelter anyway, because you never know. Cut through the way they were, whatever, and go around. And they only take 2 miles to get to that shelter where the AT takes 8. And check the weather. A while ago, and it's no more rain for today. Go figure. Put on the waterproof socks. And it didn't rain another drop. It is supposed to rain, like a 70% rain in the morning, thunderstorms in the afternoon. So that's why I want to stay at the shelter and just pack everything up under the shelter in the morning. And then go out. Doesn't matter if it's raining or not. So this is the water source. Some puddles there. A little trail goes around, so there may be a better access for water. But I'm good. I still got a whole quart of water. And I can get water, it says in the guide, at US 421, which is like 2 miles away. So I don't have to mess with trying to dip and scoop that. That's the trail going north. That's right off the trail. Water. It's been a pretty nice day so far. I thought it would be one of those wet and miserable ones, but it didn't rain after this morning at all. I'm gonna put my phone away, put my trekking poles back on the straps. Truck on. So I made it to US 421. The trail comes out to that parking lot. And crosses the road right here to a picnic table. And there's supposed to be a pipe spring. Yeah, there it is. Awesome. Don't know if I get any water. I got a quart. I'm about to drink some of it. And then it's just 3 miles, a little over, to the shelter. It's 6:15. Sunsets in 52 minutes, according to my watch. So it'll be dark, but it'll still be before 8 o'clock, about 8 o'clock, I guess. So there was a big pile of bear scat in the trail, not too far up. But other than that, I haven't seen anything with bears since I saw the bears. But, oh well, I'm not too worried about them. They don't bother us. for the most part. So I'm going to sit here for a minute and then move on. I didn't get the camera on fast enough. There was a big old bear in the trail. I seen it from like that corner. And the hunter from days ago in me wanted to slow down and creep. But I was like, nope. This is an apex predator as well. So just as I peeked around the corner to turn the camera on, he stopped, seen me, or she, whatever, and off in the bushes they go. Well, that is not the aggressive bear anyway. But dang. It's a big old pretty one. It's that time of day to see him. I doubt he went far. Probably just like 30 yards down in the bushes. Because I didn't hear bushes for very long. And everything got quiet, so. Oh well. $1,700 miles. I only saw 2 bears. Now, yeah, I'd never see it down there. Now, in one day, in less than 13 miles, I've seen that many bears. Oh boy. As long as he don't go the 3 miles I'm going, we're good. Ooh. Got a view. A little bit anyway. I'll probably start getting more views as the leaves fall. And of course, once you get to the Roan Highland, I have plenty of them. I'm about 1.5 miles north of the shelter. It got dark enough I have to turn on the headlamp. This one is a different one than the last time. This one's a rechargeable headlamp. The only problem is it doesn't tell you how much of a charge it has on it. I have not used it much since I've been on the trail. I used it a pretty good bit around the camper. The battery held up decent, so I figured I'd bring it along. But it has 2 red light settings, and I can see just fine to hike on the brightest red light. So I'll go back to that once I turn the camera off. But I don't know how much or if anything's showing up, because I know this camera doesn't do well on low light. So. But anyway, 800 feet of ascent, Guthook says, between here and the shelter. So over the course of 1.5 miles, that's not too horrific. I'm stopping to put the trekking poles on, the straps. But yeah, I guess unless anything else exciting happens since it's dark, I'll call this done for today's video. And we'll resume again tomorrow. No idea what I'm planning for tomorrow. I haven't even looked that far ahead. I know I'm like 20-something miles from Boots Off. So I'll try to factor tomorrow. I'm going to do a little different than the last when it comes to hostels and towns. if I can't get there by 4 o'clock, 5 at the latest, then I'll wait till the next day. That way I can get the most out of my R&R. Instead of to get in late, run resupply, grab something to eat, and then go to bed. Alright, well, unless we have any other fun and excitement, we'll see you in the morning.